Speed isn't just a number, it's an addiction that transforms metal into legend. For decades, engineers have waged war to build the ultimate two-wheeled rocket, pushing limits to the max. Today, we're unveiling 17 motorcycles that redefine what's possible. But one bike stands alone at the top, a speed so devastating, so absolutely unreal, it's never been beaten. And here's the twist. It's not the bike you're thinking of. Stay until the end, because this reveal will shatter everything you thought you knew. Number 17. Yamaha YZF-R1, 186 miles per hour. The Yamaha YZF-R1 is where legends begin. When Yamaha unleashed this beast in 1998, they didn't just build a superbike, they created a cultural phenomenon that would dominate racetracks and streets for decades. This is the bike that made a generation of riders fall in love with pure, unfiltered speed. At its heart screams a 998 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine that produces approximately 182 horsepower in current form. The original 1998 model hit around 150 horsepower. But through generations of evolution, Yamaha kept pushing the R1 to new heights. The top speed? A governed 186 miles per hour thanks to the gentleman's agreement among Japanese manufacturers. But remove that limiter and the R1 pushes well into the 190 miles per hour range. The acceleration is brutal, 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, with quarter-mile times in the high 9s. The R1 isn't just fast, it's legendary. It's won more championships, set more records, and created more memories than almost any superbike in history. Used models range from $5,000 to $15,000 depending on year and condition. Before the next monster hits the screen, make sure you like, hype, and subscribe. But while the R1 represents Japanese superbike perfection, another machine from the land of the rising sun took a different approach to speed, brutal, overwhelming power. They reminded everyone that when Honda decides to build a flagship superbike, they hold nothing back. Number 16. Honda CBR 1000RR Fireblade SP 186 miles per hour. Honda waited. They watched as competitors claimed superbike supremacy. Then, in 2020, they unleashed the CBR 1000RRR Fireblade SP. The 999 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine produces a staggering 214 horsepower at 14,500 RPM. This isn't just power, it's controlled fury. The engine revs with a ferocity that pins you to the tank, while the sophisticated electronics ensure you can actually use all that performance. Like its Japanese rivals, the Fireblade is electronically limited to 186 miles per hour. But the real story is how fast it gets there. 0 to 60 happens in 2.5 seconds. The quarter mile vanishes in 9.7 seconds. This bike doesn't accelerate, it teleports. The riding position is pure racetrack, aggressive clip-ons, rear set pegs, and a tank that begs you to tuck in. This isn't a bike for posing. It's a weapon built for those who understand what true performance means. New Fireblades cost around $28,000. Used SP models run $20,000 to $25,000. For that investment, you get a motorcycle that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern superbike engineering. As Honda perfected the inline-4 formula, another manufacturer proved that twins can play in the superbike sandbox too. They made a barely street-legal race bike that makes no apologies for its singular purpose, going fast and looking spectacular while doing it. Number 15. Ducati Panigale 54R 186 miles per hour. Ducati took everything they learned from decades of racing dominance and poured it into the Panigale V4R. This isn't just a superbike. The 998 cubic centimeter V4 engine produces 221 horsepower at 15,250 RPM. The red line? An insane 16,000 RPM. This engine screams with an intensity that makes your heart race just hearing it idling. The V4 configuration creates a sound that's part superbike shriek, part MotoGP thunder. Electronically limited to 186 miles per hour, the Panigale 4R reaches that speed with contemptuous ease. 0 to 60 takes 2.5 seconds. The quarter mile disappears in 9.6 seconds. The acceleration is so violent that it feels like someone punched the fast forward button on reality. Weighing just 392 pounds dry, the V4R is featherweight for a leader bike. The aerodynamic winglets create 77 pounds of downforce at 168 miles per hour, keeping the bike planted during acceleration that would otherwise send it vertical. New Panigale by 4R models cost around $40,000. Used examples run $35,000 to $38,000. Yes, it's expensive, but you're buying Italian passion, racing pedigree, and performance that makes supercars jealous. From this Italian masterpiece, we move on to a bike that proved German engineering could dominate the superbike world. A German manufacturer known for touring bikes made a superbike. People actually rode it, and their laughter turned to silence. Number 14. BMW's 1000R Series 186 miles per hour. When BMW entered the superbike arena with the S1000RR in 2009, skeptics laughed. The 999 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine produces approximately 207 horsepower. But what makes this engine special is how it delivers power, linear, predictable, yet absolutely savage when you want it to be. The engine revs to 14,600 RPM with a mechanical precision that only German engineering achieves. Electronically limited to 186 miles per hour like its rivals, the S1000RR reaches that speed with authority. 0 to 60 happens in 2.6 seconds. Quarter mile times hover around 9.8 seconds. The acceleration is relentless, just smooth, continuous thrust that never seems to end. Weighing 434 pounds, the S1000RR feels lighter than it is. The handling is supernatural, precise, predictable, and confidence-inspiring even when you're pushing hard. The aerodynamic fairings include winglets on M models, providing downforce for stability. New S1000RR models start around $17,000, with M versions reaching $22,000. Used examples run $10,000 to $18,000 depending on year and trim. For riders seeking German precision with Italian passion, the S1000RR delivers magnificently. These street-legal superbikes we've mentioned are limited to 186 miles per hour. Some manufacturers said, forget the gentleman's agreement, and built something truly extreme. Number 13. MV Agusta F4 RR 195 miles per hour. MV Agusta represents Italian motorcycling at its most pure and unapologetic. The F4R isn't just a superbike, it's a rolling work of art that happens to be blindingly fast. When other manufacturers were playing by the rules, MV Agusta simply made the rules irrelevant. The 998 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine produces approximately 201 horsepower at 13,400 RPM. This engine is a masterpiece. Short-stroke design allowing high revs, radial valves for maximum airflow, and a titanium exhaust that weighs nothing and sounds glorious. The top speed? 195 miles per hour, achieved through sheer aerodynamic efficiency and raw power. 0 to 60 takes 2.5 seconds, while quarter-mile times dip into the high nines. The acceleration is savage, but what makes it special is the soundtrack. This bike screams like nothing else. Weighing just 392 pounds dry, the F4RR is incredibly light. The handling is razor-sharp, demanding skill and rewarding precision. This isn't a bike for novices, it's for riders who understand that true performance requires commitment. New F4RR models cost around $35,000. Used examples run $25,000 to $32,000. For riders seeking Italian artistry with genuine racetrack performance, MV Agusta delivers like no one else. If you're loving these speed demons, hit that like button, hit hype right now, and subscribe, because the next bikes make these look slow. Number 12. Aprilia RSV 41000 factory, 199 miles per hour. Aprilia doesn't build motorcycles, they build racing machines that happen to be street legal. The RSV 41000 factory represents everything Aprilia learned from decades of Grand Prix racing, distilled into a production bike that makes no compromises. The 1099 cubic centimeter V4 engine produces approximately 217 horsepower at 13,200 RPM. This engine is magnificent. The narrow 65-degree V-angle allows it to be compact, while the high lift cams and titanium valves enable stratospheric revs. The top speed reaches 199 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest street-legal bikes you can buy. 0 to 60 happens in 2.4 seconds. Quarter-mile times hit 9.5 seconds. The acceleration is so intense that it feels like the bike is trying to escape from under you. New RSV4 factory models cost around $24,000. Used examples run $15,000 to $22,000. For riders who want the closest thing to a MotoGP bike that's street legal, the Aprilia delivers spectacularly. Now there's a bike that when it debuted, the motorcycling world gasped. An electric bike that could outrun legendary superbikes. Everyone thought it was impossible until Lightning actually did it. Number 11. Lightning LS218, 218 miles per hour. The Lightning L S218 shattered every assumption about electric motorcycles. The electric motor produces approximately 200 horsepower and 168 pound-feet of torque. But here's where electric power becomes magical. All that torque is available instantly from 0 RPM. There's no waiting for power, no building revs, just immediate, violent thrust that pins you to the tank. The top speed of 218 miles per hour was officially verified, making the LS218 the fastest electric motorcycle ever built, and faster than most gasoline superbikes. 0 to 60 takes 2.2 seconds. Quarter-mile times hit 9.3 seconds. The acceleration is so intense, it's almost disorienting. New Lightning LS218 models cost around $38,000. Production has been limited, making them rare. For riders seeking cutting-edge technology with mind-blowing performance, the Lightning represents the future. Now that we've heard about Lightning, this next bike represents a moment in motorcycling history when manufacturers were locked in an all-out war for the title of world's fastest. There could only be one winner. Number 10. Honda CBR 1100 XX Super Blackbird, 190 miles per hour. Before the Hayabusa became legendary, Honda held the speed crown with the CBR 1120 Super Blackbird. The 1137 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine produces 164 horsepower. The power delivery is smooth and linear, building steadily to a top speed of 178 miles per hour. For its time, 1996, this was absolutely insane. The Super Blackbird held the speed crown from 1996 until 1999 when Suzuki unleashed the Hayabusa. Used Blackbirds can be found for $3,000 to $7,000, representing incredible value for a bike that was once the fastest in the world. Go ahead and hit like, slam the hype, and subscribe right now, because the bikes coming up aren't just bikes. They're straight up legends in the making. But as good as the Blackbird was, it was about to be dethroned by a machine that would become motorcycling's ultimate speed icon. Number 9. Suzuki GSX 1300R Hayabusa, 194 miles per hour. The Hayabusa. Just saying the name sends shivers down riders' spines. When Suzuki unleashed this beast in 1999, they didn't just build the world's fastest production motorcycle, they created a legend that would dominate the conversation for decades. The original 1,299 cubic centimeter inline-4 engine produced 173 horsepower. The name Hayabusa means peregrine falcon in Japanese, the fastest bird on Earth, capable of diving at speeds over 200 miles per hour. Suzuki chose this name deliberately. This bike was built to hunt the blackbird. The top speed? 194 miles per hour out of the crate, shattering the blackbird's record. Early unrestricted models hit 200 miles per hour and beyond. The acceleration was brutal, 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, quarter mile in 9.7 seconds. New Hayabusas cost around $18,999. Used examples range from $8,000 to $16,000. The Hayabusa isn't just fast, it's an icon, a cultural phenomenon that transcends motorcycling. The Hayabusa dominated naturally aspirated bikes, but one manufacturer asked a radical question. What if we added forced induction? Number 8. Kawasaki Ninja H2, 209 miles per hour. The Kawasaki Ninja H2 represents something unprecedented, a supercharged street-legal motorcycle that brings fighter jet performance to public roads. When Kawasaki announced they were adding a supercharger to a sport bike, the motorcycling world thought they were insane. Then, they actually built it. The 998 cubic centimeter supercharged inline-4 produces 197 horsepower. But that's not what makes it special, it's how that power arrives. The supercharger creates a power delivery that's relentless, building continuously to redline without the peaks and valleys of naturally aspirated engines. The top speed is electronically limited to 205 miles per hour. 0 to 60 takes 2.5 seconds. Quarter mile times hit 9.4 seconds. The acceleration is so violent it feels surreal, like someone strapped a rocket to a motorcycle. New H2 models cost around $29,999. Used examples run $20,000 to $27,000. For riders seeking forced induction thrills with street-legal convenience, the H2 is unmatched. If we're being honest, the street-legal H2 is merely a preview of what Kawasaki was truly capable of building. It was a track-only monster that exists purely to answer one question: how fast can we go? Number 7. Kawasaki Ninja H2R, 249 miles per hour. The H2R is what happens when Kawasaki removes all restrictions and builds the fastest supercharged motorcycle possible. The same 998 cubic centimeter supercharged inline-4, but tuned to produce 310 horsepower with ram air effect. 310. Let that number sink in. This is litter bike displacement with power that rivals 1200cc engines. The top speed, 249 miles per hour, has been officially recorded, making the H2R the fastest production motorcycle you can buy, even though you can't legally ride it on streets. 0 to 60 takes 2.0 seconds. Quarter mile times hit 9.0 seconds flat. The acceleration is so extreme it's dangerous. Only limited numbers were produced, with each bike costing around $55,000 when new. Used examples, when they appear, command similar prices because collectors recognize the H2R as a historic machine. The H2R represents the pinnacle of forced induction motorcycling, a machine that proves supercharging can take motorcycles to speeds that naturally aspirated engines simply cannot reach. You think this was crazy? Another company took an even more radical approach: turbine power, a science experiment on two wheels that somehow became reality. Number 6. MTT Turbine Superbike Y2K, 250 miles per hour. Welcome to madness. The MTT Turbine Superbike Y2K doesn't use a conventional engine, it uses a Rolls-Royce Allison model. 250 turbine originally designed for helicopters. This isn't a motorcycle. The turbine produces 320 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. But turbine power is different, smooth, linear, and delivered with an otherworldly whine instead of traditional engine noise. The throttle response is instant, and the power just keeps building. 227 miles per hour has been recorded, making the Y2K one of the fastest motorcycles ever built. But here's the crazy part. The turbine can run on diesel, kerosene, or even jet fuel. Try doing that with your Hayabusa. Only around 15 𝐏𝐄𝐂𝐑 motorcycles were ever built, each costing $150,000. They rarely appear for sale, and when they do, prices remain astronomical. The 𝐏𝐄𝐑 isn't just a motorcycle, it's a collector's piece, a conversation starter, and proof that anything is possible with enough engineering and money. Even this turbine monster isn't the fastest. There's another MTT creation that pushed turbine technology even further. Number 5, MTT 20RR, 273 miles per hour. Not satisfied with the 𝐏𝐄𝐂𝐑, MTT went back to the drawing board and created the 420RR, a turbine-powered motorcycle with even more power and an even higher top speed. This is extreme engineering taken to its logical conclusion. The upgraded Rolls-Royce Allison turbine produces 420 horsepower, 420, from a turbine the size of a car engine. The torque is massive and the power delivery is relentless. This isn't transportation, it's a statement about what's possible when you ignore sanity. It has an astonishing 273 miles per hour recorded. The acceleration is mind-bending. The turbine spools up and the bike launches like it's been shot from a cannon. The riding experience is surreal. The turbine whine drowns out everything else. The acceleration feels like flying, and reaching speeds over 200 miles per hour happens so quickly it's almost frightening. This bike requires skill, courage, and probably a degree of insanity. Only a handful of 420RR models exist, with pricing around $250,000. Yes, you read that correctly. $250,000 for a motorcycle. But you're not buying transportation, you're buying the fastest conventional motorcycle on Earth. We all know this monster isn't number one, because there are bikes that achieved even higher speeds through truly unconventional means. Number 4, Suzuki GSX 1300R Hayabusa Modified, 264 miles per hour. Here's where we enter the world of modified motorcycles. Production bikes taken to extremes by specialists who refuse to accept factory limits. The engine has been extensively modified. Larger displacement, approximately 1,500 cc, turbocharging, nitrous oxide injection, and countless internal modifications. The horsepower? Estimates suggest around 500 horsepower or more. The turbine produces around 300 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. But the truth is, at these power levels, dynamometer testing becomes almost impossible. The record speed? 264.7 miles per hour. This isn't a theoretical number, it's an official record achieved through multiple timed runs. The acceleration required to reach such speeds on the salt flats is astronomical. The riding position is extreme, fully tucked to minimize drag. The rider essentially becomes part of the bodywork, reducing frontal area to absolute minimum. At 264 miles per hour, even small movements create massive aerodynamic forces. These modified Hayabusas represent the dedication and expertise of speed specialists who spend years perfecting every detail. They're not street bikes. They're purpose-built machines existing solely to achieve maximum velocity. The cost? Modifications alone can exceed $100,000, not counting the base bike. These are rolling laboratories where engineering meets obsession, proving the Hayabusa platform's legendary potential. If that blows your mind, just wait till you see the top 3. They'll make every other bike look ordinary. So don't forget to like, hit that hype button, and subscribe. The best is still coming. Number 3, Bub 7 Streamliner, 367 miles per hour. Now we enter the realm of streamliners, motorcycles so radically modified they barely resemble conventional bikes. The Bub 7 Streamliner, piloted by Chris Carr, represents the ultimate expression of motorcycle speed achieved through aerodynamics and engineering. The power comes from 2 turbocharged Suzuki Hayabusa engines working in parallel, producing an estimated 500 to 600 horsepower. The engines are mounted in line, one behind the other, driving a single rear wheel through a complex transmission system. The bodywork is a carbon fiber cocoon designed in wind tunnels to minimize drag. The rider lies completely prone inside, barely able to see through a small opening. There are no mirrors, minimal instruments, just the rider and the roar of twin turbocharged engines. The top speed? An astonishing 367.382 miles per hour achieved at the Bonneville Salt Flats in 2010. This stood as the motorcycle land speed record for years, representing the pinnacle of what two-wheeled vehicles could achieve. This isn't motorcycling as most people know it. It's speed in its purest, most extreme form. The cost? Millions of dollars in development, testing, and attempts. The BUB7 represents human ambition refusing to accept limits. But even this incredible machine isn't number one. There are two motorcycles that achieved even more impossible speeds. And this next machine represents the current two-wheeled land speed record and stands as one of the fastest motorcycles ever built. Number 2, 𝐏𝐄𝐑 Streamliner, 376 miles per hour. The 𝐏𝐄𝐑 Streamliner took everything learned from decades of land speed racing and pushed it further. Like the BUB7, the 𝐏𝐄𝐑 uses two turbocharged Suzuki Hayabusa engines, producing an estimated 900 horsepower combined. But the 𝐏𝐄𝐑 team refined everything: aerodynamics, weight distribution, tire technology, and rider positioning. The streamlined body is 25 feet long and crafted from advanced composites. Every curve, every surface is optimized to slip through air with minimal resistance. The rider lies completely flat inside a cockpit barely larger than a coffin, steering with small hand controls. The speed? 376.363 miles per hour achieved at the Bonneville Salt Flats in 2010, just days after the BUB7 set its record. This back-and-forth battle for the record represents one of motorcycling's greatest rivalries. At 376 miles per hour, the 𝐏𝐄𝐑 covers over 550 feet per second. That's faster than many airplanes at takeoff. The G-forces, the vibration, the mental challenge of controlling a vehicle at such extreme speeds, it's almost incomprehensible. The team spent years and millions developing the 𝐏𝐄𝐑. Each attempt requires perfect conditions: smooth salt, minimal wind, ideal temperature. The margin for error at these speeds is zero. One small mistake means catastrophe. The 𝐏𝐄𝐑 represents the pinnacle of Streamliner technology, the current land speed record for motorcycles, and proof that human ingenuity knows no bounds. But there's one machine that technically achieved even higher speeds, though whether it truly qualifies as a motorcycle is highly debatable. Number 1, Dodge Tomahawk, 350 miles per hour. Theoretical 420 miles per hour claim. Here it is, the number 1, and it's controversial. The Dodge Tomahawk isn't just a motorcycle, it's a concept that blurs the line between bike and science fiction. With 4 wheels instead of 2, some argue it's not a true motorcycle. But Dodge called it one, so here we are. At its heart sits a Dodge Viper V10 engine. Yes, a 500 cubic inch, 8,200 cc automotive engine producing 500 horsepower. This isn't a motorcycle engine. It's a supercar power plant somehow squeezed into a 2-wheeled, technically 4-wheeled frame. The claimed top speed? 420 miles per hour. But here's the controversy. This speed was theoretical, based on power-to-weight calculations and aerodynamics. The Tomahawk was never actually tested at speeds anywhere near that. Dodge built it as a concept, not a production vehicle. The design is insane. The 4 wheels are arranged in pairs, with independent suspension allowing the bike to lean in corners like a traditional motorcycle. The bodywork is aggressive, all angles and attitude. The exhaust pipes run along both sides, gleaming chrome reminding you of the monster beneath. Dodge built 10 Tomahawks, selling them as non-functional art pieces for around $550,000 each. Some were later made functional, but whether they've ever approached their theoretical top speed remains unknown. The Tomahawk exists in that strange space between concept and reality, between motorcycle and something else entirely. It represents what happens when engineers ask, "What if?" without concerning themselves with practicality, legality, or sanity. There you have it, 17 legends that prove humans will never stop chasing the impossible. Watch the next one and find out cheap, comfortable, and reliable motorcycles. And don't forget to subscribe.